Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. We're going to call this meeting to order. We have online Olga, Vikram, and Penny. Did you make it? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Marianne Duncan Cole,
Present.
Vikram Katwani. We'll circle back to him. Megan Dugan,
Aye.
Marie Coffey.
Aye.
Olga Hodges,
Aye.
Christy Morgan,
Aye.
Penny Love Hensley, Vikram, how do you vote for the agenda approval?
Aye.
Thank you.
It's fine. We can, there's 4 votes for aye. Motion passes. Next, I don't have any announcements today, so we'll move on to public comments. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. We will go for 1 hour. Please no clapping or noise between speakers, no inappropriate language, be respectful of one another, and keep your comments directed toward the board and not the audience. Please don't play videos or recordings for us. Go ahead.
Virtual comments first. Number 1 is Catherine Gardner.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Gardner, pronoun she, her, and I am a resident of Vancouver. The witch Granny Weatherwax, a character created by Sir Terry Pratchett, opined that sin is when you treat people as things, including yourself. When people say things are a lot more complicated than that, they mean they're getting worried that they won't like the truth. People as things, that's where it starts. The current board seems content to allow the bashing of the LGBTQIA and drag artist communities at these meetings ad infinitum. How many of those who speak at these meetings against those communities actually know persons affiliated with either? Not in an abstract, friend of a friend whose aunt's cousins heard a thing sort of way, but in a concrete, this person is my neighbor, my friend, my family sort of way. How many of those that toss around terms like groomer and mentally diseased to describe those different from themselves would actually take the time to get to know the individuals they lob accusations at? Probably not many, because they wouldn't like what they found. Literally just people trying to live their lives. Different but perfectly fine lives that don't harm a thing except small-mindedness. When you use self-gross, inaccurate generalizations for an entire subset of society you don't care to get to know personally, that is a sin. When you strike out at literature and art you wouldn't personally access, but that may be vital to a stranger, that is a sin. And to quote Granny Weatherwax once more, they say a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, but it is not 1/2 so bad as a lot of ignorance. Thank you.
Ron and Aaron Smelzer.
Hello.
1 moment. I'm sorry. I am going to respond to your question, but respectfully, it seems like that happens quite a bit on both sides. So I wish people would stop. However, it's free speech and she didn't direct anyone by name.
Aaron.
Okay. I resident of La Center and member of the library for several years. I wanted to talk a bit today about banning books and the damage that that does. One of the books that my daughter is reading in high school that is assigned literature is a book called Fahrenheit 451. I'm sure anybody who's here today is familiar with that book. The irony is that this is a book about what happens to society when people ban books, ban creativity, and try to control people's thoughts. And this book about the dangers of banning books and what happens to a society has actually been banned a number of times. And I don't want to see us here in Southwest Washington going in the same direction of the people in this book, the small-minded people, the terrified people of their own thoughts and ideas. I would like to see us move away from that direction and have access for everyone to the books that they want to read. If you don't want to read it, don't read it. If you're afraid some kids will be affected, turn out to be gay because there's a gay character in literature, you need to probably go back and reread all the books that made you think that way, because my guess is you haven't read many at all. Thank you.
That brings us to our in-person comments. First up is David Elvey. Thank you. You're the best.
No worries. Cool. My name is David, also a Vancouver resident. Pronouns are he, they. Today is Trans Day of Remembrance. It is where we honor and remember those lost to either murder or suicide. So I'm going to take a moment of silence. Thank you. Bigot, a person who is obstinately or unreasonably attached to a belief, opinion, or faction, especially one who is prejudiced against or antagonistic toward a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular group. Bigot, sometimes the shoe fits.
Ann Bauer.
Hi, Justin. Hi. Okay. Hello, I'm Ann. I'm speaking as a private citizen and patron of the library. I think the board should reaffirm a policy of respect for all, for everyone, including the expectation that patrons respect all library employees at all times. I also believe the library should remain a public institution. We have very few public institutions left in our community, and the library is vital as a space open and welcoming of everyone. Thank you.
Judy Musa.
Hi, I'm Judy Musa. I am the Development Officer at the Fort Vancouver Regional Library Foundation. And I wanted to just make a comment tonight to thank our fabulous board. I'm so grateful that you were able to help participate in the last few events that we've had. I wanted to thank Marie for helping with the trick or treat in the streets. We had a great time handing out books to the kids in Woodland here. And I wanted to thank Megan and Penny for coming to the Authors and Illustrators Dinner, as well, again, Megan and Penny for coming to our Beaches Cashback Day or Give Back Day. So, oh, and Marie, I'm sorry. So sorry. So thank you all. It's great that we can do these things together and that you're helping to support the work that the foundation and the friends are doing. So I just wanted to mention that. And I also just wanted to mention that Giving Tuesday is coming up on Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So it's we're trying to make a district-wide appeal to all. So whoever's listening might hear that. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Shirley Kluge.
Hello, I'm Shirley Kluge. I live here in Woodland. I've been a member of the Friends of the Woodland Library since I think 2014 when we moved here. And I wanted to just comment that first, the people involved in our library district and the programs. The people from the board to the staff at every library I've been in the system, and I've been in a few of them, are just great people, wonderful, helpful, knowledgeable, and always willing to be of service, and so appreciate that. I'd also like to mention the programs, and I cannot possibly remember to name them all. I wrote a bunch of them down before a couple of days ago to bring with me, and I left at home, of course. But from foreign language conversation groups, English language conversation groups, I was quite active for a while in a group of memoir writers that met at the Vancouver Library. They're still meeting. The programs for children, for tweens, for teens, for adults. It is amazing what happens, how much happens with so little. I'm very grateful that we're part of a large system because it brings many more resources to a small town like this, things that are available online as well as in person. Thank you for everything.
Susan Humbird.
Susan Humbird, and I am president of the Friends of the Library here in Woodland. And I am just so excited about our new library, and the work begins, and I go almost every day by and take pictures, and it's fabulous. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you all had to do with this.
Sharon Watt.
Sharon Watt. I'm the secretary of the Woodland Friends. And I'm going to talk to you because some of you on the board are, haven't been on the board that long. So, I'm talking about our fundraising for our library, which has been a long process. We started in 2015 to raise money. We've had partnerships with Burgerville, Dairy Queen, Red Leaf, Dutch Bros. In 2017 and 2018, the Woodland Mayor organized a dinner to benefit, and the proceeds benefited the Friends, and that morphed into the Love Your Library, which I hope you're going to attend this year because we're going to be doing it again in April of 2024. So we've had 4 Love Your Libraries. Not in 2021 because of COVID, of course. We just had a bazaar this past weekend, and we have over here this painting, which is going to be raffled and at the beginning of December. And the tickets are $5 if you would like to purchase some tickets and win this for the raffle. Back to Love Your Library. We have early bird tickets available to sell if you would like to purchase those tonight. They're $50, whereas afterwards it's going to be $60. And my estimate is that over this, since 2015, when we've been raising money, that we have raised the Friends over $200,000.
Randy Schmidt.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Last month's meeting highlighted an issue of banning books. I believe that the manner in which the issue was raised was not necessarily honest and a little deceptive. Challenging a book on a library shelf is not banning books. First of all, let us address what banning books means. The fact that any library decides not to include a specific title on its catalog is not book banning. If that was the case, you guys would have 2 billion books you were banning. Banned books are books that are not able to be obtained. Christians know this. This is the #1 banned book in history. And right now, 52 nations, you cannot own or disperse this book without serious penalty to your person. The societal issue in America today that we are calling banned books is parents working to remove child pornography from schools and public libraries. Yes, it's child porn. Everybody gasp now. I said the word. When books like Lawn Boy, All Boys Aren't Blue, Gender Queer, too many titles for me to read here, they come out every month, are placed on library shelves, they cause permanent damage to children. These books contain hardcore depictions of sexual activity of minors, mostly penetration. That is the definition of child pornography. Okay, at this point, all the people are going, oh, those Christians are going off again, the bigots. Let me read you a quote. This is not from a Christian woman who says this. As a woman, I think porn is a disgrace. I used to watch a lot of porn, to be honest. I started watching porn when I was 11 years old. I think it really destroys my brain, and I feel incredibly devastated that I was exposed to so much of it. Who was that from? Billie Eilish, a celebrated singer and multi-Grammy Award winner. So the question is, when will this library address the policy of condoning and pushing child porn? Every month, your email that goes out includes these titles and recommends them to the public. Every time that this issue is raised, we are told we can't limit these books because these books are needed for inclusion. Why are they needed for inclusion? Why does a child need this book to be included? Thank you.
Margot Logan.
Can you hear me okay? All right. I'm Margot Logan, and I actually live in Portland, but I'm a member of the library and I'm a taxpayer over on this side of the river. I've been doing my research. I got a book, Is Totally Normal, an LGBTQIA plus guide to puberty, sex, and gender, 2023. I'm also an expert witness in court in civil law cases and administrative hearings. So when I get a pile of records and I review them, where I help attorneys win cases is I see what's not there. And what's not there in this book is on emotional intimacy, relationships, marriage, commitment, and no information or history on what sexual abuse does to a child and how sexual abuse can confuse a child. And so it's very glaring that this book is sort of a mechanics of how you do things. And it doesn't get into the heart of kindness, sexual intimacy, trust, all those kind of issues. I've over the years, decades, I've had friends, family who've been lesbian, gay, queer, some moving into transgender. So I have been intimately involved with, thank you, all kinds of folks who go through this. And many of them had been sexually abused as a child. So one DVD that I would recommend is called Mysterious Skin. Gordon Joseph Levitt is in there. And it really shows the difference of how different sexual abuse on children can manifest differently in a child. So one child, is that it? All right, thank you.
Gary Wilson.
Mine's pretty short. Thank you, library board members, for your service. Please continue to err on the side of caution when it comes to our most vulnerable patrons, the children. And I wasn't gonna say this, but an earlier comment on video, I'll say my next door neighbors are lesbian. But, we get along great, so I come here, originally it was about drag queens and, some are heterosexual men that just enjoy dressing up as women. I know that, I researched that early on, so. Yeah, I just wanted to say, just please continue to err on the side of caution when it comes to our most vulnerable patrons. And in my family, there is LGBTQ people, so thanks.
Vivian Mosby. Got it. Thank you. I'll pass it to the trustees. Quill Onstead.
Hi, my name is Cole Onstead and my pronouns are they, them. I'm here to speak in support of Drag Queen Story Hour as a genderqueer member of the library community. Later this week, most of us will be sitting down with family and friends to celebrate Thanksgiving. But tonight there is another more somber occasion to mark, Transgender Day of Remembrance. Transgender people are over 4 times more likely than cisgender people to become victims of violent crime, according to a study by the UCLA School of Law. 33 trans people lost their lives in the past year. Almost half of them were murdered by family, friends, or intimate partners. This is what lack of education leads to: fear, anger, and even murder. We should not allow any of this to fester in our library communities. Drag Queen Story Hour is a vital program that teaches kids about gender identity in an age-appropriate manner. Parents who do not approve of Drag Queen Story Hour do not have to bring their children to any Drag Queen Story Hour programs. Please allow the staff of FVRL libraries to present Drag Queen Story Hour and have the district live up to the ideals espoused in the FVRL library's equity statement. Thank you for your service to the community.
Thank you all. As we still have plenty of time left. Does anyone want to make a comment that hasn't already? All right, thank you all. I'm going to close public comment. The Fort Vancouver Regional Library District Board of Trustees will now meet in executive session to discuss personnel as allowed by RCW 423110. The Board of Trustees will be in executive session for 30 minutes until, do you want to say till 7 or? Until 7 p.m. The Board of Trustees is expected to take further action following the executive session. So we're going to move so you guys can actually stay in here in the warm, and then we'll be back then. Thank you.
Test.
Calling the meeting back to order. Thank you all. All right, we're going to move on to reports. The first report will be Woodland Community Library Branch Report by Jennifer. Right.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Howen. Welcome board and citizens and FVRL staff. Thank you for being here in Woodland. I manage both the Woodland Community Library and the Yale Valley Library. Yeah. I'm going to start with Yale and give you a little overview of how that library has grown over the last year in 2023. It's a library north of here, and if you haven't had a chance to visit the Yale Library, I highly recommend a little road trip. It's about a half hour northeast of here. It's primarily a self-serve library where you can get in with your library card. You scan it at the door on the telepin. It's only staffed 15 hours by two very hardworking and creative staff members. The two of them, Leslie Miller and Beth Ham, do so much. Leslie also is the supervisor at Yakult Library. So she wears two hats and she's very hardworking. They partnership with the Yale Elementary School students, which is the school just next to the library. The kids come across their play field. The facilities is put in a gate, so they just walk right in and they come over once a month for activities. The Yale Valley Library has grown, of course. It opened in July of 2021. So you see just over 2 years, we have a really good door count that's continuing to grow. More and more library cards. I mean, 81 seems small, but it's a tiny community. There really isn't a community. It's a school and the library and a fire station, and that's about it that's up there. This library up there has really been a game changer for that community, though. Internet has been very difficult and expensive access up there. So with the Wi-Fi and internet at the library, it's been very helpful. As I said, they are very creative. They always have really wonderful passive crafts out for people to do as they come in the library. And then for really the second year in a row, they've had very successful Summer at Your Library programs. This is a picture of the school gymnasium, which they have used as the space, and then a couple of their other programs were outside the library, since it is a pretty small space. And again, just their creativity. I could take so many pictures of their crafts and things. I just helped with the wreath program this last week, and they had over 30 people come to their wreath creation, and as well as the Girl Scouts show up for their crafts. So it's a lot of fun. And then Woodland. We are a welcoming place, I would say. This is a picture of one of our story walks for the summer. We lined up in front of the library. We're, I think, going very strong. Our library staff is what makes us who we are. The five of us all really love to learn and work hard and support each other. We had Chris, our supervisor, raise your hand, Chris, over there. Yeah, he made the arrangements for fire extinguisher training that we all had a great time shooting off fire extinguishers. Yes, thank you. So, anyway. I have to say, I really, really appreciate the 4 people I work with. They are dependable and positive and supportive and creative. We are, I think, a very solid team here in Woodland. And I just want to say a special appreciation for the staff that's here. And our numbers in 2023, they're still a little bit less from 2019, but they've gradually, since, you know, pandemic and closed, they've gradually continued to rise. And we have a good solid 150 people a day and as many as over 200 sometimes. Saturday is our lowest day count. But we are going to try, starting in January, some Saturday programming, family programming, and see if we can't draw people in to get our count up on Saturday just a little bit more. Of course, we run the gamut of the programs similar to other libraries. These were our noodle people or creatures really from this summer. And I would say what we're successful with our programs is creating that connection with our community, people coming in, connecting with each other, and then enjoyment and emphasizing the equity that everybody is welcome at the library. And again, just learning, exploring, creating, I think is our main emphasis. The one on the left was a great program with engineering. Thea just brought in a lot of things to stack, and it was very interesting to see the creativity in the kids, what they did just by stacking various items. And we had the Paradise of Samoa dancers this summer. And I just love the colors in this picture, but this park over here, we filled, we had over 250 people, not particularly for this program, but we had a good turnout. I think it was the Reptile Man we had the most. Yes, yeah, it's a big draw. Just wonderful turnout and such support from the community for our programs. And getting out into the community, excuse me, we even on the left, there is the solar eclipse. We weren't sure that the clouds were going to part, but they did just in time. So we were over at Horseshoe Lake Park, and we ended up with 47 people showing up that morning to come and enjoy the solar eclipse. It was good. Visiting outside experts, that's Mary Grout in the bottom right-hand corner. She's a local ceramicist. Oh, and if you ever get to Yale, she's done what she calls a stack, very, very whimsical stack of ceramics. So just want to point that out. That's the artist. And then our outreach and partnerships. We do school events, of course, city events, the Woodland Care Center, regularly with preschools in the area and the Chamber of Commerce and the Kiwanis. We partner with some literacy outreach events too. And couldn't do that without support. We appreciate the board and the foundation and our outreach department helping us with equipment and the free books and just smiling faces who come alongside us. I appreciate that. And none of that can be possible really without the Friends of the Library. It is an amazing group here in Woodland. I can brag a lot about the Friends of the Woodland Library. Not like Sharon mentioned earlier, the amount of money that they've raised toward the building supply, but they show up. I mean, we had you know, what, 52 people here this afternoon making wreaths, and a lot of the friends swooped in to help clean up and reset for the board meeting tonight. Just practical things like that, as well as their community connection and their outreach. And of course, you know, we're very excited about our building project. So we did our official groundbreaking this last summer over Planters Day. had a great turnout with our golden shovels and photo ops. But the real exciting bit is the actual construction going on. And if you got a peek there before it got dark driving by tonight, seeing all the equipment, they're just finishing up the infrastructure for the sewer and electrical lines and getting ready to put the forms up to pour the slab here in the next couple of weeks. We're right on schedule. I'm very excited that things are going well. Fingers crossed that the weather holds and they can continue to go. And if it all goes well, it will be finished by the end of September 2024. So there is a chance we could be having our board meeting in November next year in the new library. I hope so. I know, it's good, very good. So in the meantime, our cute little 1909 creaky floor, 2-story space challenged building is a welcoming place. We will continue to make it a welcoming place for everybody until we move, well, even when we move into the new library, that'll be a welcoming place too. Anyway, thank you. Yes, yeah. I can take questions if you had any. Actually, for the board. No, I can only take questions from the board, not the citizen. Okay.
So you have a point proven place now that you think people. How do you hopefully that really big modern
Ooh, that's a very good question. It's the people. I would say it's the staff and it's the atmosphere that we create as people come in, greeting them, making them find what they need to find. It's not so much our surroundings as it is the people.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Did you have one?
Yeah.
Oh, go for it.
Our adult collection is actually going to stay a similar size. It'll grow just a little bit. We had the choice of more seating and more shelving, and we decided that we needed more seating. That was kind of a little bit of a trade-off. Our children's department, I don't have the exact numbers, but it actually will increase by about 10%. Our children's collection, we have a nice big space there. So.
Thank you. Next will be the September financial statements with the TAR.
Good evening. All right. Tonight we have oh, thank you. Yeah. Yes, September financial statements, starting with the statement of cash. At the end of September, year-to-date revenues were $17.3 million. And statement of, year-to-date expenditures were $23 million. Cash balance was at $14.8 million. Statement of revenues is next. Property tax revenue for September totaled $536,000, with year-to-date being at 59% of budget. September leasehold excise tax was $243. State Forest Boards came in at $56, with year-to-date at $14.8 thousand for State Forest Boards. They're at 9.9% of budget for the year. State Forest Board revenue last year ended at $41,000 or 18% of budget. I think there was a question at the last board meeting about State Forest Board revenue. So it is dwindling. It is a dwindling revenue stream, seems like at this point. September charges for services brought in $5.9 thousand. Under miscellaneous, September investment interest revenue was $37,700. E-rate revenue was $181,000. Total September revenue was $763,000. Year-to-date budget percentage for total operating revenue was 55% and total revenue was at 51%. Statement of expenses. At the end of September, we would expect year-to-date to be at 75% of budget. So starting with personnel costs, September personnel costs were $1.4 million, with year-to-date at 71% of budget compared to 68% same time last year, running lower than budget due to 20 open positions. Supplies and small equipment for the month of September was $47,000 or 51% of budget. September library materials activity was $290,000 or 59.7% of budget. Under other services charges, insurance as well as repair and maintenance is over budget for the year. Capital outlay for buildings owned had $48,000 of activity in September under operating expenditures, consisting of payments to Hacker Architects for the Woodland building project. Total September expenditures were $2.1 million. Year-to-date budget percentage for total expenditures is at 68%. Questions?
I do have a question on the first page. Expenditures incurred but unpaid, are those, can you explain why we have that amount?
Let's see, we have expenditures. I think that was a progress payment. It's mostly related to a progress payment on UCC for the Grand Boulevard remodel. So that line is usually related to bills that we've received and entered in our software, but not yet paid. Payment is in progress.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is branch safety report with Justin.
I've been asked by the trustees to provide a report on the state of our locations in terms of staff and public safety. Would you like me to drive it? Okay. So tonight, these slides that I'm going to show you here are the key takeaways from the full report that is included in your board packet. So tonight, I'm going to be providing you with some background information on our rules of conduct, data related to rules of conduct infractions at all of our locations, as well as actions that have been taken, as well as actions being considered, or recommendations that may come to the Board of Trustees in the near future. Before I get into the numbers, I want to thank all of our staff district-wide for the high degree of care that they use when approaching difficult situations. Our staff are proactive, kind, clear, and appropriately forceful when necessary. This thanks extends particularly to our security team members and our staff at our Vancouver and Cascade Park locations. Through their efforts, those facilities are keeping our patrons and staff safe every day. Rules of conduct. So we use our rules of conduct policy that is a board-driven and passed policy to guide staff when they are having challenging interactions. We have 16 rules of conduct in place right now that we use to help guide our decisions. And I'm choosing to focus on the first 4 rules of conduct this evening because infractions of these 4 rules of conduct can be addressed with immediate exclusion with no warning. And violation of these 4 rules may result in unsafe and uncomfortable library environments. Staff generally address these challenges very quickly. And these are the ones that are most likely to elevate into an incident report. Sorry, so the first 4 are, as you can see here, illegal activity, attempting to or engaging in any local, state, or federal behavior, breaking the law. Sexual activity with yourself or with somebody else, being under the influence or possessing or selling drugs and alcohol on library property. And then the 4th is refusing to comply with staff direction. So that can take the form of, say, we are closing, announcements have gone out. People are aware that we are closing and yet they are refusing to move on with their day, meaning that then our staff will have to eject them from the building. Yes.
When you're doing the ejection of somebody, do you usually call for sheriff or police protection? Okay.
No. Most of our locations do not have security staff. Vancouver and Cascade Park are only 2 branches that have staff, and generally, of course, 911 will be called if necessary, but that is not the first step. And we will get into the stats on 911 calls in a moment. So we began using a database and software called PITS in late 2018. This is what we use to keep track of incidents as they occur. And every branch has access to the reporting software. So we record all sorts of things in PITS, major and minor. So 23 so far, we've had a total of 348 incidents district-wide. These could range from anything like somebody refusing to leave for the night, somebody using profanity publicly and very loudly, all the way up to say assault. This catches all of them. Of the 348, we have called 911 district-wide 55 times in 2023. 32 of those 911 calls were to request a police response. So the incidents requiring a law enforcement presence include things like drug and alcohol use, children being left in vehicles, unresponsive patrons for any reason, and disruptive behavior such as being really loud, banging tables, spreading your belongings far and wide beyond what you would expect for a single person to be doing, violating exclusions from branch libraries that resulted in a criminal trespass. It also includes instances where security team members have been assaulted. I want to point out that the vast majority of our locations have not had to contact 911 this year for any reason whatsoever. Olga?
Do we have access to the details of this data?
Yes, in terms of details, you mean locations, staff involved, what the actual infractions were?
Yes.
Yes, and I can provide that to you in the morning.
Am I understanding correctly that the second one down with 25 is Goldendale?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm happy to talk with you about that tomorrow if you'd like. I can pull that data for you and let you know what it is for.
Thanks so much. That'd be great.
Vikram?
Quick question. So VA is having a lot of problems. So have we worked with the city or the law enforcement on how to improve those situations?
Yes, and I will get into some of the actions that we've taken in just a few minutes, Vikram.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
So this is extrapolated. This is just for Vancouver. And you can see the trend. 2020, we had 80 incidents with 19 911 calls. Year to date at Vancouver this year, 254 incidents with 45 calls to 911. Now, I feel obligated to point out that the Vancouver branch is a part of the overall environment of downtown Vancouver and Southwest Washington. These numbers do not reflect in any way, in my studied opinion, a lack of inaction or overt aggressive action on the part of staff. We are in a position, just like every other public entity in downtown Vancouver, of having to respond to a changing environment. I put a citation up here from an article from the 7th. As you all know, the city of Vancouver has declared a state of emergency regarding the homelessness crisis. Some of the ways that state of emergency will show up is the city will begin more visibly and forcefully enacting the public camping ban, which, in my opinion, good. But I'm also interested in watching as the situation unfolds, because I'm afraid that what it will do is bring more behavioral challenges into the branch during daytime hours, because people will not be allowed to congregate where they normally have been congregating. Megan? That's a guess.
And just looking at the data and the bullet points, wasn't the Vancouver Library closed for most of 2020?
Yes.
Okay. So the
that-
increase in incidents with the branches closed.
Hmm?
For most of the branches closed.
Well,
for-
it was closed for most of 2020, and I did not go back and read every single 80 of the 80 incident reports, but sitting here tonight, I think my hunch maybe it was behavioral challenges around having to enforce the state masking requirements, but I'm not positive.
Okay, thank you.
I think the biggest leap for me is between 22 and 23. Sorry, this is not a very positive presentation to give in some ways, but we're going to keep going. So our location, our Vancouver location, is a key part of the downtown public space and is being impacted by the changing environment. The environment will continue to evolve. So the city's emergency declaration on homelessness requires more public property being closed to camping. More law enforcement has the Vancouver Police Department has rewritten their some policies to clarify appropriate responses, including referral to community court. And one point that all the articles about this emergency declaration point out, Jamie Spinelli, who's the Executive Director of Council for the Homeless that works with the City of Vancouver, has shared that in their opinion, their team does a lot of outreach to homeless folks in Vancouver. And where in years past, they were able to get people up and connected to social services, fentanyl has changed everything in her mind. And the number of people per the article wanting to get up and go get help has dwindled dramatically. So as I said, we're not alone in experiencing these impacts to what is happening. So, and we can't solve all of these social problems, no matter how big our librarian and library staff hearts are. What we can do is to increase our proactive stance in addressing behavioral challenges as they occur and provide tools and more training to our staff, particularly our security team. So in recent weeks, recent months, here are some of the things that we have done. We have reworked our security guard job description, which has resulted in a pay increase for them in response to the challenges that they are seeing. We are having ongoing meetings, collaborative meetings with union representatives and employees to identify security concerns, brainstorm possible solutions, and then we are implementing the more straightforward ones right away. So here are some examples of that. We are in discussion with the City of Vancouver again to remove some shrubbery that belongs to the city between the parking lot of the Vancouver branch and Reserve Street. We've made that ask in the past, and they're not our shrubs. We can't do anything about them, but we're going to try that again. We have removed 2 computers on the 5th floor that are not within line of sight of the service point. They're tucked away, they're isolated, staff can't see them unless you make a special trip the full length of the floor. So those are gone. We have disabled the motion sensor lights in the stacks at Vancouver. Part of our lead silver requirement was that we have motion sensor lights. We've removed those and now the lights stay on full time. And this was done in case of staff needing to evacuate in the case of an emergency, specifically an active shooter. It would potentially alert an assailant to presence of people, so they're on all the time now. We temporarily closed the 4th and 5th floor restrooms at the Vancouver branch in response to increased drug and alcohol use. We made that decision on April 7th. January through April, we had 19 drug and alcohol related incidents that were addressed in the Vancouver branch. From April to July, that number dropped to 9, and from August until now, that number has dropped to 8. We will plan to reevaluate that decision because none of us wants to take restrooms away from the public at all. But it has made a big difference in recent times in the number of incidents. The facility is being evaluated for additional cameras for the outside on the south elevation specifically. We are researching de-escalation training for all staff, and that by all staff, I mean all staff across the district. We are researching basic self-defense training for our security team. We are seeking an expert to conduct a security audit of the Vancouver location. That location is very unique within the district. We are developing more specific guidance and training for active shooter threats. And I will be recommending or having the conversations with Jennifer once she arrives that we work with you, the trustees and staff, to consider adjusting our rules of conduct to result in fewer rules and leaving fewer decision points for staff when it comes to addressing the more extreme behaviors, such as not having to, in the moment, determine a length of exclusion for, say, a physical assault. Make it a bit more cut and dry. Yes. It's a mix, but the parking area at Vancouver branch is not the library's parking area. Our security team and staff keep an eye on it, but we don't go out of our way to go onto city property. Yes, Vikram?
So, all these actions are pretty good. So have we also considered working with like any, nonprofit or a social organization on how, if we come across such individuals, how to help them out, like they can take over from there rather than us pushing for some different outcome?
Yes, we actually had a partnership that I and Vancouver staff had developed with Columbia River Mental Health Services last winter, where we had community navigators in the Vancouver branch and the Cascade Park branch. Those are Columbia River Mental Health Services employees that connect people with social services resources. We just got word late last month that the funding for the Community Navigators program has evaporated. So within the next few weeks, once I go back to my regular job, we will begin that effort anew with additional community partners.
Do you know how has that worked out?
How did it work out with Columbia River Mental Health Services?
Yes, what was their impact on, whatever services they were providing versus,
I can give you
nothing
a list.
available?
So in terms of the number of contacts, I would have to get that number from Columbia River Mental Health. I can give you a list of the services that they were providing. There were things like getting on the wait list for housing, getting access to government benefits such as food stamps, working to get IDs and social security cards, things like that.
Okay. But do you think that had any positive impact or it was still the same?
Well, if it did have a positive impact, it wasn't on the library's behalf. It was on the behalf of Columbia River Mental Health and their clients. I can ask for some anecdotes or data from Columbia River Mental Health if that would be useful to you.
Yeah, if you can get just a rough also, that should be good, just to know that it had a positive impact, and if we should continue such programs within the library also. If that
Okay,
helps.
thank you, Vikram. I will see what I can find out. Most of my contacts in the Community Navigator program have moved on in the last month or so due to the lack of funding to continue the effort, but I will see what I can find out for you.
Sure, thank you.
I have two questions. When you say fewer rules, do you mean fewer rules or do you mean fewer variables in the moment with the rules we have, or are you talking about? Okay, how will
So-
fewer rules help?
So right now, our rules of conduct, there are 16 of them and they cover everything. Like copyright violations, sleeping, using bad words, that sort of thing. I would like to have the conversation with the policy committee, with Jennifer, with the staff at our branches about getting rid of some of the, do we really need to be coming down heavy on somebody who's muttering curse words under their breath at a computer? Or that sometimes escalates what could be a relatively benign situation into something else. But these are just thoughts at the moment, Christy. What I would really be interested in us considering is for the higher level infractions, like rules 1 through 4. We say that you can be excluded for breaking these rules immediately without warning, but the range of exclusion is down to the discretion of the individual staff that are having those interactions and their managers, right? So one day, we know you. We know patron A, they come in and everything is fine. Great, we love you. The next day, you're drunk, you're belligerent. We know you. It could be possible to say, go home for the day, we'll try it again tomorrow. I would like it to be a bit more consistent for the more hard infractions. So in our practice, the executive director is the only one that can approve indefinite exclusions, meaning you are no longer allowed to use the library. And I think that needs to be maintained. But I think it would be beneficial to staff and the public if there was less gray area in decision-making around the terms of the length of exclusions for more challenging offenses, as in, we're not going to talk about it and come back tomorrow or 3 weeks. You did this is a 6-month automatic.
Okay, thank you. Those will be good discussions.
I have a question. When the staff encounters any of these problems, what kind of backup do they have? It becomes confrontational, and how does the staff deal with that and who supports them?
So the practice, and I will, if Molly's here, if you want to say anything, but I'm happy to keep talking. The general practice across the district is that you never go into a situation without somebody else. So if you are going to interact with somebody and you feel that there's a potential for escalation, or if you are going to exclude somebody, like you're approaching a person with the intent of booting them out of the library, you go prepared with your rules of conduct highlighted, what the length of exclusion is, and then you bring somebody with you.
That works if you have the time to do that, but what if the incident happens in front of you and you're by yourself there?
So then you would call 911. Yes.
Does inclusion mean that you lose your library card?
Only in the case of indefinite exclusions, and you still don't lose full access. You can still use the library online, but we have excluded people from making phone calls to library staff, that sort of thing. But that is reserved for the most extreme
So about the restroom closures, since April, doesn't seem that temporary. Are we violating anything with like ADA or capacity rules? We're fine with all that? Okay, and so do we have a plan to get them reopened, or are we kind of just waiting to see?
So I'm hoping, and this is a conversation to have between Molly and myself, or Jennifer and Molly, that in January, maybe we try it again, reopening them. We are not in violation of any laws. There are still restrooms available for the public. It is a inconvenience for sure. But the data, running this report was very useful to me because the data does point to a real reduction in challenges based on drug and alcohol use. But of course, we want the restrooms open, but I do think we need to give it a little bit more time and then try it at the start of the new year and see how it goes.
Some of the concerns that have come to me from employees are that not all of the policies or all the rules are being enforced as much as they could be. Is that lack of staffing, or I know the numbers are down there?
Are we talking about the rules of conduct? Well, I don't think I can answer that question, Marie. We do have our rules of conduct. Every branch has access to them and the behaviors written on them are pretty clear. So I guess I would have to know which branches. I know at the Vancouver branch where we see the most of our really challenging instances, those behaviors are addressed all day, every day by all the staff, primarily the guards, but all staff have those difficult conversations. It may be a matter of more training is necessary.
And along that line, a couple of years ago, the staff had training for active shooter and defensive, which was excellent if that company is still available.
Any other questions? Any online?
No. Oh, Vikram has a question.
Go ahead, Vic.
So Justin, you mentioned there has been some de-escalation training. Is it already happening or planned?
It has happened in the past. We are looking at finding new vendors for that, and we'll get everybody in the district retrained.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
What? Oh yes, Lee just reminded me that we do have an online training available for staff on de-escalation techniques.
Okay. That's good.
Go ahead. Thank you.
So the facility of the Vancouver facility itself is very unique. The library property is the building and about 5 feet on any side. And our security team, our staff, our facilities crew are there every morning moving people on. People can pack up. This is where this camping ban being enforced more heavily by the city is going to have an impact. Because that grass area on the south side of the Vancouver library, that is not library property and we have no jurisdiction. It's right there and it's the city's. All of it. It's not ours.
Have you approached the city of Vancouver about helping out on this issue?
With the camping ban,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I can answer that.
Okay.
The police are a presence in downtown Vancouver. Up until the emergency order, there are very few places in Washington state where it is illegal to camp on public property. The exceptions would be greenways, like Burnt Bridge Creek Trail in Vancouver is a good example. You can't camp there because it's close to wetlands and water. But other than that, it is not, up until very recently, against the law to camp on public property. I mean, that's a great question, Marianne. We are a part of a rapidly changing environment, and not always for the good. Christy, one more question from the audience.
Last one.
You're welcome. The respect is not mine. It goes all to the security team at Vancouver and at Cascade Park. Those people do so much every single day. And that's not to exclude the rest of the staff. Everybody has a hand in the safety of those facilities. But our security team, day in and day out, they are the ones that have these really challenging conversations and situations. Thank you, security, if you're out there.
Thank you so much. Next up is the consent agenda, and Mary Ann reviewed the expenditures for the month.
Found no issues.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll move to a roll call vote, please.
Marie Coffey,
Aye.
Megan Dugan,
Aye.
Vikram Katwani,
Aye.
Penny Love Hensley,
Aye.
Olga Hodges,
Aye.
Mary Ann Duncan Cole,
Aye.
and Christy Morgan.
Aye, the motion passes. We'll move on to the business portion of our meeting. First is the Finance Committee with the second reading of 2023 budget amendment.
Thank you, Christy. The staff report is in your board packet. No changes from last month. This is the second reading. No action is required. FVRL is required to amend the annual budget to reflect any unanticipated revenue within the year under our fiscal management policy. Staff believe it is prudent to indicate where unanticipated income is used to offset expenses. Those revised expenses should be reflected in the amended budget. So next month, we will bring the amended budget to you and ask you to approve it. Unanticipated revenue in 23 is totaled $311,000. That has come to us from a grant from the city of Vancouver and additional interest on library investments. Changes to expenses, we are amending from $5,500,000 down to $3,311,000 to offset spending from reserves for the remodel of the operations center and expenses being incurred this year for the construction of the Woodland Community Library. We can just move to the budget if you'd like.
Are there any questions about that part before we move on?
Okay. Just like the budget amendment, this is the second presentation of the draft 2024 budget. There have been no changes from last month. This coming month in December, the trustees will be asked to take action on approving the 2024 budget. So as part of our obligations and by proxy, the board's obligation, we are, the board approves a budget. And the 2024 budget reflects the needed revenue and expenses to best serve FVRL's many communities. The 24 budget is based on providing excellent customer service through all of our physical locations via our bookmobiles. This will be achieved through, hopefully, fully staffing our branch libraries and departments, a comprehensive offering of library programs and services, and adequately maintaining our collections. The budget for 24 reflects our commitments to the communities of Woodland and Washougal through the construction of new branch libraries in both of those cities. $4 million has been allocated from reserves to ensure that FVRL has the resources available to complete Woodland and assign further funds to the Washougal project. The budget also assumes and reflects a 5.4% increase to personnel expenses that will be driven by our ongoing contract negotiations with our bargaining units and an increase in the cost of benefits. With this, the draft budget reflects a full 1% levy increase, which is what I'm going to ask you to adopt a bit later this evening.
Justin, I asked this question last month and I still have the question. So in terms of the recruitment to fully staff the 20 or so open positions that are currently open, when will that process begin? And are the majority of the open positions at the Vancouver Library?
I think so. Are they mostly at Vancouver still? That's right. So there are 6 SLA positions that we are holding open right now, but the majority of the other open positions are at Vancouver. Senior library assistant.
I'm just curious, just given the safety report that we just received about the Vancouver Library and then the information about the many open positions at that branch. I'm just curious about the convergence of those two facts.
We recently filled 6 public service assistant positions there over the last 3 months. It's kind of a training issue. They wanted to factor them in. We also have 2 vacant senior public service librarian positions at VA that we've been recruiting for. We're on our 2nd recruitment for those positions. So those are 2 vacancies there. We also have a engagement manager position that's filled. The incumbent will start December 18th. Some of those other positions are at other libraries. We have a deputy director. We have some positions that we've created, but we're holding, so that are also in that count.
For the senior public library positions at Vancouver Library, they're not currently posted though for recruitment?
No,
So-
they're not.
Oh, okay.
Because we haven't fully developed our programming schedule there. The SLAs work at service points, but they also perform programming. And we're in the process of, that's what the new engagement manager will do, is help us get our programming planned out.
Okay, thank you.
Megan, would you like more of a report at the next?
Yeah, I'm just interested in the recruiting timeline and the
Okay.
more specifics on the locations.
I can do a staff report for you guys and put it
Thank
in the
you.
next packet.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, we can move on with the 2024 levy.
So this is where the action is. So the trustees will hopefully be approving us to capture the full 1% increase in our revenues through property tax. In order to do that, I need to open this meeting up to a public hearing. We will be having a public hearing on adopting the 2024 property tax levy. So this is not a new tax. This is the annual ceremony that the trustees and the administration go through to certify with the counties that we intend to take the 1% increase that we are allowed statutorily over last year's revenue. Chair Morgan had asked for a brief presentation on the property tax levy. I have not made slides. I'm going to try to keep it really brief by just using my voice. Special districts across Washington state, of which there are many, and the library districts are just part of them. We're talking fire districts, cemetery districts, mosquito control districts, school districts, anything with a district attached to it is funded and supported primarily through Washington state property taxes. The different districts get a different rate. Library districts are a junior taxing district, and so legally, statutorily, we are authorized to collect 50 cents per $1,000 of assessed value in our service area. So our service area is the city of Woodland, all of Clark County, all of Skamania County, and all of Klickitat County. So how this plays out for me, a taxpayer, is that say my house is worth $1,000. 50 cents of that 1,000 would go to support the library, and that is in an ideal kind of situation. Our levy rate drops annually, so legally we're authorized to capture 50 cents per every $1,000 of assessed value in our district. That number declines every year because we're also legally capped at 1% increase in our revenue. And that is to make sure that public entities such as libraries or school districts are not able to grow their budgets exponentially year over year as the economy gets better. It's a cap. So this year, we are looking at a levy rate of about 26 cents per $1,000, which is about half of what we would be legally authorized to get, but that is because property values continue to increase. And you'll see in your staff report, I did make a typo in the formula where it says that the TAV is the taxable assessed value. I mistakenly said the taxable assessed value of our library district is 105,349,000. I forgot 3 zeros in there. It is actually around $105 billion is the property tax value of the library district service area. So I will open it up to public hearing now. That is a bit of the property tax levy story, but I could answer questions, Christy, if you have any right now. I know it was kind of, okay. Okay, thank you. So yep, there will be public comment as a part of this hearing, but only for thank you, Christy. Yes. So the purpose of this public hearing is to provide a brief description of the 24 levy and the action that the hearing body may legally take. The hearing body is the Board of Trustees. We will open it up to public comment. The public comment portion of the public hearing will be limited to 30 minutes, and each individual will be allowed 2 minutes to speak during the public comment portion. We ask that you avoid repetitive comments, unruly behavior, and if there is a group, please ask one person to be the representative of the group. So with the chair's leave, I will open the public comment portion of the public hearing on the 2024 levy.
Yes, we can
Great,
begin.
thank you. Do we have anybody wishing to make public comment?
Go ahead and come up to the microphone. If you wish to make comment, you can start a line if you'd like. Thank you.
So the question is, with the increase in the public levy that you're advocating, how much actual budget increase is that to you in dollars?
Accounting for increased expenses, it comes out to around $20,000, $27,000 this year. Do you?
I'm sorry, I think it's,
oh, sorry, $277,000. Thank you, Atar.
I'm sorry, it's my understanding that, yeah, you can raise it 1% per year. However, to get to 50 cents, it would have to come before the voters. Yeah, okay.
That is what we would call a levy lid lift. So when you hear the words levy lid lift, that is when a special district like us goes to the taxpayer and says, please restore our levy to the highest lawful limit, which in our case is 50 cents per thousand. That has to go to the voter.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. Thanks.
Most districts, port districts, yeah.
Thank you. They're not really approving anything other than authorizing the district to get the money needed to support it from the property tax levy. That's, I hate to say it's a formality, but it maybe kind of a little bit is.
I'm curious, and it's on the budget, but not on the property tax. Will you check on this, the state timber tax, just to see what's going on? And I'll call the Gifford Pinchot people just to see if they're moving their cutting scheme around to be more efficient. And if it's gonna change much, or if that's what we're stuck with them, because there have been some pretty big cuts since we began. So.
We can look into that, but what you're seeing on the budget is just a best guess at this point. Once the counties will let us know what the levy rate will actually be and we'll approve the budget, but we can find out for you, Mary Ann. Any other public comment?
Just me. So if I'm understanding right, the full levy is 50 cents. And it goes down every year. So at what point do you go out to the voters and say, hey, our levy is gone, we need to, so is that a major production? And when, when do you hit the panic button?
I personally do not know when we hit the panic button. I would say, we still have a few years, but it would be time to start planning in the next couple of years. It is a major production, as you said.
So you have to go for a whole, now it's not a levy lid lift at that point in time, it's just a
It would be a levy lid lift.
Oh, it would?
Yes,
Okay.
it would remove that cap on what we collect and reset the levy back to the 50 cents per $1,000.
Okay, thank you.
And it would be a vote of all 3 counties.
Wow.
Plus Woodland.
Wow.
But just from my past experience, Debbie, it just requires a simple majority, but it does require us to pay for the ballot measure. So it's an expense that we would need to budget for as a board.
Okay. Any more public comment?
I just want to give you all another compliment and respect. As you know, I live in Portland, and a number of years ago, they kind of did away with the levy and just said, hey, you're just going to get this money all the time. My main library that I go to in Canton, it looks like a dump. It smells like a dump. And I'm coming over here more and more because you have done a beautiful and wonderful job. So much respect.
If there are no more public comments, I will close the public comment portion of the public hearing on the 2024 FVRL levy. Do any trustees have additional questions? Okay, I close the public hearing. The next steps for the trustees would be to adopt resolution 2023-23. So may I ask for a motion to adopt resolution 2023-23?
So moved. Second.
I would move this to a roll call vote. Rhonda, could you please take roll call?
You bet. Vikram Kotwani,
Aye.
Penny Love Hensley,
Aye.
Megan Dugan,
Aye.
Marie Coffey,
Aye.
Olga Hodges,
Aye.
Mary Ann Duncan Cole,
Aye.
and Christy Morgan. Aye.
Thank you, trustees. There will be a form for you all to sign that will be coming electronically. And I will fill out the paperwork on my end and submit it to the counties along with the budget tomorrow.
Thank you. This is just informational. The next year's meeting schedule is in your packet, so take a look through that and let us know if you have questions or any comments about next year's schedule. We'll move on to the nominating committee and I'll turn it over to Marie.
The nominating committee has met, and these are our recommendations for the following year. Chair would be Christy Morgan. Vice Chair, Megan Dugan. Secretary, Marianne Duncan Cole. We will be voting on this next month, so if you have any concerns or feedback, you could email any one of the committee members, myself, Marie Coffey, Vikram Kakwani, or Marianne Duncan Cole before the December meeting. Thank you.
I would like to add that the nominating committee brings their recommendations, but we still vote. So if a person is voted down, so they don't get a majority, bring a backup nomination of someone that you would like to nominate for any position. Are there any questions or comments? Next up is the Personnel Committee. Do you want me to, or did I skip one? We just did that. Well, okay, so she's asking, her question is the committee appointments. I did not catch that on the agenda. So what happens is after we vote on the officers, then the chair forms the committees for the next year. So we won't be working with that tonight. Sorry about that.
Could staff give us a list of the committees before the next meeting so we kind of know? Thank you.
They're on our director point website also.
Other questions? Go ahead, Olga.
No question.
Oh, thank you. Do you want me to talk about the contract or did you have anything you wanted to say? Okay. Next up is the Personnel Committee Executive Director Contract Amendment. When we approved the initial job offer to Jennifer Giltrop, there was a certain amount of PTO negotiated. So this isn't any change. It's correcting an error that was made on our part. And then the contract stated an incorrect amount. And so that's what we're voting on tonight. You can find it's resolution 2023-24. Again, nothing's changed from the initial employment offer. It's correcting an error that was made in the employment agreement. Are there questions about this? Discussion?
I guess I'm just going to clarify. So the actual resolution doesn't talk about the vacation accrual. It just talks about renegotiating the contract, but you're just saying that's what the point of the renegotiation is. Okay.
So that's a good question. So she's already signed the updated contract. This is just saying that we are agreeing that I can also sign the updated contract.
Okay.
Is that correctly?
Okay. I don't have any problem with that.
Okay. Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-24 Executive Director Contract Amendment?
So moved. I second.
I move this to a vote, please.
Marianne Duncan Cole,
Aye.
Annie Love Hensley,
Aye.
Vikram Katwani,
Aye.
Megan Dugan,
Aye.
Marie Coffey,
Aye.
Olga Hodges,
Aye.
and Christy Morgan.
Aye, motion passes. Oh, can you turn that off? Finally, we'll close with board comments. I do have something to say today. So I wasn't here with what happened during executive session, but this behavior is unacceptable. It's okay. We've forgotten how to disagree. It's okay to be a member of the LGBTQ community. It's okay to be a Christian. We've forgotten how to disagree with each other. And because of that, tensions rise here. I never realized how hot-tempered these meetings were gonna be. But until we can find common ground with each other, I don't know when the temperature is gonna lower, but the behavior earlier is completely unacceptable. Yeah, I just ask everyone, if you're gonna come to these meetings, that you can control yourselves, please. Is there any other board comments?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
I apologize. Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for a great presentation tonight, for all of the reports that were provided for us. And I also wanted to acknowledge the large Slavic community in that area and in Vancouver. This Saturday, we will be commemorating the anniversary of the Day of Remembrance for Holodomor, which was the massive genocide that happened in Ukraine in 1932 to 1933, where over 10 million of my people were systematically starved and killed. And so I just want to acknowledge that and honor those that may be in the audience and those that are part of our very large Slavic community there in Vancouver and all throughout Washington.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes, I would like to say thank you to Jennifer and to the Friends of the Library for welcoming us here and for a great presentation about the services and programs and your buildings and the people. Thank you.
Can I add? I'd also like to thank Justin for stepping into this and handling all of this. You've done a great job as interim and we appreciate it very much.
Please go ahead, Vikram.
I just wanted to thank Justin for, being an interim director and stepping in as needed. You have done a wonderful job, and thanks to all the FVRL staff for making all these meetings happen and staying so late. Thank you.
My only success in this role has been being able to work with the administrative team and branch staff. This position does not exist or function without a wide, talented set of experts behind it. So to admin that's here, thank you. It's been a privilege.
Go ahead, Penny.
I also want to thank Justin and Rhonda and the staff, Elizabeth, for everybody who gets us through these meetings and the IT efforts that go into all of this. It's muchly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much for stepping up when we needed you. We're a tough bunch to work with, I understand, but we really appreciate you. Thank you, really. The next regular meeting will be Monday, December 11th, 2023 at 6 p.m. It will be hybrid and in person. Is there?
This is not our normal time.
Normal, it is a week earlier than it normally is. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, this motion meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.